You may have heard that big investment firms are no longer buying up as many single-family properties, but they haven't given up altogether. Do you know what they're still buying up? Mobile home parks. And do you know why? There's no regulation. The residents that live in these manufactured home parks have been facing increasing rents to the point where they can no longer afford it. What's going to happen to these people? And what possibly could be done if you happen to live in a manufactured home park that does look like a corporate investor is about to take it over? And even though you think, oh, well, this doesn't pertain to me. I live in my own house in my own neighborhood. With the amount of corporate investors that have bought into neighborhoods, maybe even into your neighborhood, this is information you're going to want to hear yourself.
Florida Sun Estates bought a park there and increased lot rents from $389 to $895. Tenants here say they are seeing similar increases.
All right, let's have a conversation about mobile home parks, because a lot of times people have a misconception of what they are. What they are is an affordable housing option for many people across the United States. It's estimated over 22 million Americans that are living in a manufactured home. They're not all necessarily living in a manufactured home park. Some of them have their own individual land that they put them on. A manufactured home park works a little bit different. If you don't know, when you put a manufactured home in a trailer park, as some people call it, you only rent the land underneath it. So you have to pay like a monthly fee every month to make sure that the area that you live in is maintained, the yards are mowed, the front entrance is cleaned up. Anytime there's any road maintenance, anything like that would be covered under those rents. Seems reasonable. Most of the time those rents maybe go up maybe $20, $25 a year. They'll increase for taxes in the area or any other extras they want to do for their specific park. Individual owners that have maintained these parks for the last several years never increase them exponentially like it's happened in the last few years. Mobile home investors have now coined themselves the trailer park millionaires. These people have come in, bought these manufactured home parks, and increased the rent there on the people that live there exponentially. Imagine being somebody that bought a house and put it into this park about 10 years ago. You've paid it off over the last 10 years, and you had the anticipation of, yes, this house was going to have rent that would increase over time. And now the new park owners come in and they increase it to the point where it's unaffordable. And I'm not just talking like a couple $100. In some areas increased 50%. You know how we've always been told that mobile homes were a terrible investment? Not for home investors.
Say they are being forced from their homes. They claim a company is unfairly evicting them as part of a practice to sell the same homes over and over again.
PBS.org did a piece about this, and it said that driven up by some of the strongest returns in real estate, investors have shaken up a once sleepy sector that's home to more than 22 mostly low-income Americans in 43,000 communities, mainly aggressively promote the parks as to ensure a steady return by repeatedly raising rents. Their whole entire goal is to get the people that live there out so they can get basically a free piece of real estate. Not only just rent the land under it, they actually now have a free house. That George McCarthy, president and CEO of Lincoln Institute of Land Policy, said about a fifth of mobile home parks, around 800,000, have been purchased in the past 8 years by institutional investors.
Chappell says she was hit with an eviction notice claiming she was behind on her rent.
They play hardball. They intimidate. They run their parks thinking that no one can fight them.
When the pandemic started, the government intervened and said that nobody had to pay their mortgage payments for a period of time if they filed for forbearance. Then there was a rental moratorium for people that lived in apartment buildings and condos. But when it came to manufactured home parks, the most low-income people living in the United States, living in the most affordable housing options, there was no forgiveness whatsoever. Those people still had to continue to pay lot rents, which made it even easier for investors to kick out and evict as many people as possible. And now for those of those saying, well, that can't happen, there was eviction moratoriums. Well, it did happen. Not only that, there is no regulations when it comes to manufactured home parks. There's nothing that's stopping the park managers from increasing the rent. There's no rent caps. They're not required to maintain the property. No one's coming out there to make sure that those properties are maintained. And that's when the government steps in, because you have a lot of neighbors that are complaining about it. But that doesn't really help the residents that are living there when this is their only affordable housing option in the area itself.
I'm retired. I'm going to be 63 years old, and this is everything I have. Where am I going to go?
So let me make this clear. If a person wanted to, they could take their home that they own and move that manufactured home into another mobile home park. But it costs tens of thousands of dollars. And if they can't afford the rent in a manufactured home park, most likely they don't have an extra $10,000 to $15,000 laying around to move their home to another location. Sure, they could get a personal loan, but again, that's another expense that they most likely can't take on. And if you find yourself in this situation, it doesn't mean everything is lost. If you find out your manufactured home park might be going through the process of being bought or sold, now you can do something called house hacking. And that's basically where you get a roommate to rent out a room and you make up your own little lease agreement within your little house itself. Your park might have rules against this, so make sure that's something they're allowed to have. Now, if you find out even with a new roommate that isn't going to cover the costs and you're in a desperate situation and you don't want to end up homeless, you can start the process ahead of time, getting paperwork filled out for something called Section 8. To know if you're eligible for the housing voucher is determined by PHA based on the total annual gross and family size, and it is limited to U.S. citizens and specifically categories of non-citizens who have been eligible for immigration status. The family's income may not exceed 50% of the median income for the country's metropolitan area in which the family chooses to live. By law, a PHA must provide 75% of its voucher to applicants whose income do not exceed 30% of the area median income. Median income levels are published by HUD and vary by location. In order to apply, you must apply for the voucher by contacting your local PHA for further assistance. Please contact the HUD office nearest you. And that's a government subsidized program that allows you to help cover some of the rent. Now, they can take your income on what you have now, and they can tell you exactly how much you're going to be able to get from the government to cover your rent costs. The thing that really sucks about any kind of government subsidized program, you're on a waiting list. It could take days, weeks, even months, up to years before you ever get that program approved for yourself. In a lot of cases, you can move up that list if you are disabled or over the age of 65. I know you don't want to leave your home. I don't want you to leave your home, but I also don't want you homeless either. So these are just some backup plans just in case. Is if you're really concerned that the new owners are going to raise that rent, is try to sell your manufactured home before the new owners do take over. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't tell the new owners that it's possible that the lot rents will go up, because if you disclose that, then they are prepared for that, but it will help you get out of the situation where you're not going to be able to afford your house that you're living in. All of these things that I'm recommending really stink, because almost every single one of them you have to leave your house with the exception of renting out a room. But I want you to be prepared as best as possible. Now, if you are thinking about buying a manufactured home and you have to put it in a park because land is too expensive in your area, you could always try to find a park that has an HOA. Now, before you groan, HOAs, they have a lot more leverage with those management companies that end up buying out the lots in the area so that you can vote on some of the things that would be implemented. So maybe your lot rents won't go up as high. Now, the other thing I want you to look at, before the park is ever sold to an investment firm, the residents of that park have the ability to purchase the manufactured home park itself. You can contact a company, an organization called Rock USA, and there's a couple other ones as well that help residents get finance so they can buy out the park themselves. And then the park becomes a cooperative, meaning that everybody in the neighborhood has a stake in the neighborhood, much like a condo association would work. Then your lot rents are almost like flattened out. The only time they would go up is like if the property taxes went up or you guys needed new lighting and roads in the area. All those things would be assessed and the payments would be spread across all the lots themselves, but you would vote on it first. Not a short process, and you have to have more than 50% of the residents that are in on it, like they're okay with doing this type of co-op. There's a lot of campaigning you got to do, and there's going to be some people that are giant naysayers. But if you got some people that are naysayers, I want you to show them a bunch of news articles and videos of people that have been displaced because of these big entities taking over. Now, companies like Rock USA have been helping manufactured home communities all across the United States, but they genuinely want you as homeowners to own the park because they know exactly what these investors are doing. So say you've been watching this whole entire video and you're thinking to yourself, how could this even possibly affect me as a homeowner? Well, if your community ends up being more than 50% rental units and a big company comes in, they can make any rules they want to, and they can readjust your HOA to have those rules say whatever they want as well. Not all of these manufactured home companies that are taking over want to necessarily maintain the parks, and a lot of them have gone into utter disrepair. I'll even dare say some are actual slumlords. And do you want that to happen to your neighborhood?
Right away they want to kick you out of here for they can get the trailer and they sell it themselves and make money out of it.
Now, I know that you've heard all of this stuff and you're thinking, well, this is not going to pertain to me and my family and what's going on in my community. I'm telling you that we have seen an increase of homelessness across the United States, and we have a jobs market that's through the roof. And if you think it's because, well, they can't have a job, a lot more people that are homeless or houseless right now, they have a job, they just can't find a place to live. We have no affordable housing options. And the affordable housing crisis has done nothing but get worse over the last 3 years. And this was even prior to the pandemic that we had an affordable housing crisis. And since home prices have increased and these corporate investors have come through, it's even gotten worse. And if you have no regulations for manufactured home parks when it comes to the regulation of rent, and I know people are like, ew, don't involve the government. In this case, to protect the most vulnerable people in our society, the people that need these affordable housing options more than anybody, we have to have some kind of regulation. If you don't agree with me, I would like to know the reasons why in the comment section below. So write them in there. I want to read them all. To watch more videos about the affordability crisis here in the United States, go ahead and watch these videos right here. My name is Kristina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer, and I tell you all this because good real estate information matters.